When you have a lot of drive meter, you'll be looking to spend it, most commonly with drive rush, but you should almost never do two dash cancel drive rushes close together like here, since the reward is not worth the resources. Especially since doing drive rush cancels scales the combo very quickly for low reward. Regardless, this is a nice way to spend your drive meter when you're near or at full, since you get a combo or a strike throw mix up. If you are really low on meter, you can still do the dash cancel if you really need to, but this should only be done to close out rounds. Keep in mind the opponent can do reversals between the gap, and with 2-bar invincible reversals, you'll lose the situation and be down a bar from that interaction. Even if they don't have a reversal, drive reversal still costs 2 while you spend 3. But most of the time you can true string with the light, which leads to safety at the price of low reward. You can also use drive reversal offensively when you finish your turn and have them cornered, that way you can steal your turn back and keep them in the corner. Just remember that they may end up doing something safe or beta if you're predictable. If you don't have enough meter to whiff a parry to get drive rush, you can whiff a light and cancel it to get it instead. But again, this should only be used when necessary. You can carry charge it puts through, which is tough but doable to get an advancing flash kick or projectile at a high cost. Drive rush can also be used to convert some anti-air hits. It will vary widely between characters. If you want to cash out, it's best to do drive rush button, special, then super, since you need drive rush for each normal unless you have a target combo that works like DJs. It is also good for just converting an anti-air normal into a special since they would normally flip out. This can be applied much more universally. For some characters, overdrive moves or regular fireballs paired with drive rush can also be very strong as long as you have the resources and a little extra for it. Drive impact costs a bar, and you can pair this with drive rush to convert into some nice damage or corner carry. On punish counter it takes a bar and a half from the opponent, so if you react to theirs, it'll cost them 2.5 bars. If they just block it, it's only half a bar for them, so you'll be meter negative. Now once you've spent your meter, you'll want it back. There is passive meter regen, which takes about 4 seconds per bar, but this stacks with walking forward, which with full commitment brings it down to about 3 seconds per bar. Surprisingly, dashing doesn't help the regen. To activate the walking forward buff to regen, you only need to microwalk for about 2 frames. So walking back and forth actually builds meter at almost the same rate as just committing to walking forward at just over 3 seconds. But taking long steps back and forth keeps it to about 4 seconds per bar. Shimmying paired with making them block or get hit makes your meter go up pretty fast. Making them block not only gives you drive meter, but also takes away some of theirs, with a big difference between lights, mediums, and heavies. If the heavy is multi-hitting, it still changes by the normal amount. If you see they are running low, you can use drive rush to set up plus frames and go into a spacing trap or target combo to force them into burnout. If you have a good projectile, you can do the same thing to pair passive regen with a little bonus for making them block or parry while potentially taking away their meter. As a defender, parrying the projectile negates losing drive meter, but the offender will still be building meter. Blocking a projectile doesn't take much away, but it will add up over time. When cornered, be careful of drive impact, especially when low on drive meter since it can put you in burnout and stun you. When you're at between half a bar and a full bar, you can drive impact back, but you'll also be put in burnout for it. If you have half a bar and you don't want to get burned out, you can try to react with parry instead, which will get you a good amount of meter, but if you're at less than half a bar in parry, you'll put yourself in burnout and get stunned. When being pressured, the best and easiest way to get drive meter back is with parry, especially if they keep pressing, or try to default into a wall splat drive impact attempt. Just be careful because a punish counter throw on your parry will take away a bar and a half. Everyone knows about the costs of each drive move, but the more important part in my opinion is the cooldowns on passive regen. The most important one is whiffing parry puts you in 4 seconds of passive regen cooldown. This carries through even for parry into drive rush since you whiff a parry to do it. So it may only cost 1 bar to do, but it takes much longer than normal to get that 1 bar back. Even if you push your luck with some spacing trap block strings, it'll take a lot of hits to make up for that cooldown time. Feinting fireballs is very powerful for baiting parries, forcing your opponent into the 4-second cooldown and making them waste meter. On a successful parry, it takes 1 second after the block stun ends for the regen to start again. Same thing applies for perfect parry, but since it has lower recovery, it'll start a little faster overall. After blocking, it takes 1.5 seconds from the start of block stun for the cooldown to end, and this gets reset with each hit of a multi-hit move. Overdrive specials, drive impact, and drive reversal put you in 2 seconds of cooldown from the end of the recovery. Doing a drive rush cancel also puts you in cooldown for 2 seconds from the end of the move's recovery, which makes up for the fact that it costs 3 times as much as a parry with one, but it pauses passive regen until the combo is over. Doing a level 3 will give you plenty of time for your cooldowns to end while also pausing your opponent's regen. It will also take away 1.5 bars from them during this pause on the regen, which can also be great for putting them into burnout. When you first get into burnout, passive regen is locked out for 4 seconds. You can still gain meter from hitting, blocking, or walking, but during these first 4 seconds there's a penalty reducing how much you can get back. It's best to play aggressively to build the meter back by moving around or making them block or get hit. If you're in burnout and have a lot of life, it isn't a bad idea to block some fireballs to help speed up the drive meter recovery. As the offender, you can loop infinite plus frames, which leads to frame traps, to push them to the corner and build more drive meter, but keep in mind that you'll be getting them out of Burnout faster. If they are close to death and burned out, you can also try to loop specials that chip, but it will likely drain your resources fast. You can close out rounds by doing this and using a super to pile on a lot of chip at once. Remember that Burnout only impacts the advantage on block, not on hit. Putting it all together, maintaining a range while moving back and forth, throwing out pokes that don't need to have good reward on hit or block can still be extremely effective on putting you at an advantage when it comes to drive meter. Thank you for watching.